D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So for this episode, I'm gonna be doing a review on Doom Patrol Season 1. Now, I have to say, going into this show, I did enjoy the show when it was on Titans, when the characters were on Titans, not the show. But I liked that crossover, and I liked that this built into another show, and I really enjoyed that. I hope that they keep doing that in the DC universe on their streaming service, and I hope that they continue with that. Now, I just want to say I'm going to go through the characters, not necessarily in the order of my favorites. I will tell you my favorite and my least favorite as far as characters go, but I'm going to go through the characters, down the line and everything, and just go through the story in their progression and explain all that. So let's just get started. So the first character that I want to talk about is Crazy Jane. Now, this was played by Diane Guerrero. Now, the one thing that I like about Crazy Jane as a character is I do like that she's got all these different personalities, and each personality has a different power. The only thing that I didn't like about this was Diane Guerrero's portrayal of all these characters. Now, personally, I think that when you watch movies like Glass and you see James McAvoy and how he seamlessly just transfers into these different characters, I really, really liked that. However, I think that Guerrero, she's such a great personality as far as actresses go. I mean, any interview that I see her in, I just enjoy her immensely. But I think that her being able to do these personalities is a lot different and a little less in talent, in my opinion. Now, besides that, I think that when she does her K persona, that one's my favorite. My next one is when she does a Hammerhead. I really like Hammerhead a lot. And everything. And one thing that I did like, when they went into the underneath or the down below, I can't remember what it's called, when all her personalities take the train up to they have the light, as they say in Glass. I like how each personality, not all of them looked like Crazy Jane or Jane. Some of them looked like they had their own, like for instance, one was a nun with a chainsaw. You totally saw the nun in a chainsaw. It wasn't Crazy Jane in a nun habit with a chainsaw, and I liked that a lot. But I liked... The thing that I didn't like was they just go through the whole thing and they're all like, oh, well, Crazy Jane was molested as a child, and that's why she's all, like, messed up, and they created all these personalities or whatnot, and that I didn't feel like was that big a secret, like, oh, she, I could have guessed that she was molested by her father as a child and everything. But, other than that, I think that I did enjoy her character as far as I enjoyed seeing all the different powers that her personalities could come up with. My favorite one was the doctor who, like, got all the glowy eyes and told you what to do and had the power of persuasion. So moving on, we're going to talk next about Rita Farr, and that was played by April Balby, I think that's how you say her name, or her name is Elasti Woman. Now, I have to say, as far as characters goes, this one was my favorite. I liked seeing her progression go further on from episode, I believe it's episode 1 or 2, when after the black hole was created in the town, Rita was one of the characters that wanted to leave and skip town and didn't want to stay and everything, along with Negative Man. And then, they decided they were going to fight back and go save Niles, and Rita was all like, I want to get out of here. And I think that as far as as the show kept going on, she wanted to, I think she stepped up hardcore. In fact, so much so that I would say she could be the leader of the group. Now, I don't read the Doom Patrol comic books, and I haven't read them. But I do think that if anybody's going to be a leader, I think that she definitely has what it takes to be their leader. I have to say, as far as her powers go, they're very different from the comic books. From what I understand in the comic books, she can just make herself bigger or smaller. I didn't like her whole... I think she's more like Clayface in this sense than she is Elasti Woman. So, and plus her powers were really gross. When she turns into that blob thing, I really didn't like that. I thought it was nasty, and I didn't like it at all. So then the next one I'm talking about is Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, and that's played by Jovian Wade. Now, okay. So I did like Cyborg in this show. One thing was his look-wise, I liked everything except for his face thing. I thought that looked really fake. It didn't make me think that half of his head was mechanical. It just made me think that they put a piece of plastic over half his face. It was, very, Phantom of the Opera kind of like. And I wish they would have done a little bit more in that department, maybe done some CGI. I understand that stuff can be, very costly, but I think that if you put the time and budget into stuff like that, I think that people like myself really appreciate that, and we want to see more. Now, I really also liked the dynamic between him and his father. I liked that they kept butting heads. I also liked that he kept going, didn't want to put the computer side back into himself, and I really enjoyed that portion of it. I liked that conflict of, hey, do I want to become full-on machine. Back to his look-wise, one thing that I did like, he always wore these hoodies and these track outfits, and I wish he would have stopped wearing those, because when he had his shirt off, when he had his shirt off and he showed the breastplate and then the hands and everything, I really did enjoy that look. It was very comic book esque, and I always appreciate that. I love, one thing that I've always said on my channel, and I'll always say it, when it comes to casting, I am not a purist as far as race and gender, like if they gender bend or they race bend. I'm not like that. I'm fine with them doing either one of those. But one thing that I'm a purist on is the costumes, and not necessarily the original costumes, but when you look at the comic book, they take it from the page and put it right on the screen. I really appreciate that, and I want it. So when I see him without his shirt, without his little hoodie on or whatever, and he's got that breastplate in his hands, even the faceplate, even though I think it looks cheap, I think it looks very comic book accurate, and I personally appreciate it very much. Now, the next one I want to talk about is Matt Boomer as Larry Trainor and / Negative Man. Also, it was played by Matthew Zook. I think that's how you say his name. But Matthew Zook, he just did the physical work, and then Matt Boomer added his voice, except for when he played Larry Trainor not as Negative Man. So, the thing about Negative Man, first off, he's the only LGBT member of the team, which I did like. The thing that I didn't like was, I understand that throughout the season he had the arc of, recognizing that he was a gay man and being able to come out of the closet and be proud to be a gay man and everything. But the thing is, I think it went on too long. By the end of the season, I was just like, okay, we got it. You're gay. You don't like it. Either get over it or stop complaining about it, because I personally am sick and tired of hearing you whine about it. Like, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you that you've been oppressed so long that you can't just, scream it out loud and proud. But, I mean, as a viewer, I'm just like, how many times are you going to beat me over the head with this storyline? I also did like that, but I did like the fact that his negative force kept saying, hey, this is who you are, just be who you are, and he kept saying, listen, I can't, and it's not because he didn't want to, it was because he had just been brainwashed so long that he couldn't express who he really was. Now, as far as Matt Boomer goes, I don't know if I'm pro representation, but at the same time, I go, Matt Boomer, just because he's gay in real life doesn't mean he always has to play gay characters. And I don't think that you have to be gay to play this character. I think just, it helps and everything. But I just go, is he only going to play gay characters now? One thing I didn't like also was when they met Danny on the street. I did like Danny on the Street, by the way. But when they met him and then they had that whole musical number, just because musical numbers are big in TV shows right now does not mean you need to have one in your TV show. I mean, Matt Boomer was on Glee. He sang on Glee. He's a great singer. I do not need to hear him in this show sing, and I don't want to see it ever again because I don't need it. I don't need it and I don't want it. So then, moving on, we're going to go to Cliff Steele, aka Mr. Robot, which was voiced by Brendan Fraser and then played physically, not when he was playing Cliff Steele, he was Brendan Fraser, but when he was playing Mr. Robot, the guy in the costume was Riley Shanahan. So anyway, I liked this character a lot. I did also feel like his storyline was very whiny, like, oh, my daughter, and then when he gets a chance to meet his daughter and explain stuff, he doesn't take it. As a father, if I didn't know my child since, forever, and then I got the chance to meet them, I'm sorry, I would take it 100%. I don't care what I looked like. I'd just be like, listen, maybe I'm a freak right now, but I still love you, and I didn't give up on you, and I didn't leave you. On purpose, I left you, on circumstances that I couldn't control. Now, I also feel like they didn't utilize him as much as they could have, but at the same time, when you're fighting a villain like Mr. Nobody, I don't know how you would use that, because Mr. Robot's, obviously, his powers are his physical force, so I'm not sure how that would work against an adversary like Mr. Nobody. But as I said before, I really did like it, and everything. Now, I want to move on to next talk about Niles Calder, aka the Chief. Now, this was my least favorite character of the show. I felt like his scenes on screen were great. I think that Timothy Dalton did a great job. He did not play Niles Calder in the Titans episode. I cannot remember the name of the actor. I kind of wish they had stuck with that actor, just because he, I believe, is Mexican, but he is definitely a Hispanic actor, and I wish they would have kept that, because I kind of liked that dynamic. Plus, I loved his accent. I kind of thought it brought something new and different to that character. Rather than being this, like, white British guy. But Timothy Dalton is definitely a good actor, and I think that him being on screen really, really punched that up and everything, and I really did like it. But, like I said, Niles Calder wasn't on screen enough, and the big reveal at the end that he caused all their accidents so he could live longer or live longer than his daughter so he didn't die before her, I thought was so lame. I was just like, really? This is the big secret at the end and everything? I'm like, okay, no, well, the whole I caused all your accidents thing, I was like, alright, well, I didn't guess it, but I really wasn't trying to guess it, but at the same time, I was like, that really isn't that great of a secret. So then the last character I really want to talk about is, of course, Mr. Nobody, which is played by Alan Tudyk. And the thing, okay, first off, I really didn't understand what his powers were. The whole time I was just like, what exactly are his powers? I didn't understand it, but I didn't dislike it. I just didn't get it. The whole time I'm just like, I was like, he's just the narrator, but is that his thing? Like, when he narrates, he controls what you do and you don't have any choice in the matter? It was confusing. One thing I did like was his special effects. I kind of saw how they did it and how they could do it on the cheap. And I did like it. I liked the blue, like, lining. And one thing that I did like really a lot was when they went into the white spaces. And that was the in-between spaces of the comic book. I really loved that. I never thought of that. And I don't know if they've done it in the comic books, but I really, really liked it a lot. I thought that was very inventive and very creative. And I really did enjoy it as far as that goes. And as far as Alan Tudyk goes, what a great actor. I love him. I love Alan Tudyk. He could be in everything, and I would love it. I would just love it. He's so great, so great. Let's talk about season 2. So in the last episode, they introduced Dorothy Spinner, and she is the daughter of Niles Calder, and she does join the team in the comic books. I believe the seventh grouping of the team or whatever. And her powers are that she can create these imaginary creatures and bring them to real life, or people and bring them to real life. And one thing that I really think that that'll be interesting to enjoy that, to see that happen. One thing that I really would like them to do is also bring in another villain besides Mr. Nobody. Maybe somebody like the Brotherhood of Evil, or the Society of Sin. I think that would really be great. I think that could introduce a collective of superhero or supervillains, and then they could fight one-on-one against each character from the show. And I think that would be great. And one thing that would also do is that would also be able to bridge a gap between Titans. I know that Alan, Mr. Nobody mentions the Brotherhood of Evil. If you brought that group of 5 in there, they could intertwine, because the Brotherhood of Evil also is a nemesis of Titans in the comic books, and they were on Young Justice also. So I think that that would be really great for season 2, and I really hope to see that, something along those lines. Now, in conclusion, Doom Patrol Season 1, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I liked the acting. I liked the storyline. There were some things I would have changed a little bit, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. And I would suggest going and watching it. It's all the episodes are on the DC streaming service if you don't get that. I mean, right now, I don't know if it's still worth it, and they drop them episode by episode each week. I really wish they would just drop them all at once so I could binge them. Yeah, I would go and watch this show if you're a huge DC fan like myself. Now, tell me, what did you guys think of Doom Patrol Season 1? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like? What didn't you like? Who's your favorite character on this show? Go ahead and leave your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.